everyone, and welcome to another This Week in Eorzea. Today is our special PLL live letter edition. With me, as always, is Pyra. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, thank you for having me, as usual.
It wouldn't be the same without you. It would just be me talking to no one, which is kind of sad. Okay, we finally got some Final Fantasy XIV news, and we are going to take it and run with it. So, as you can see, we are all squashed down in the corner here. And the live letter translation has the front and center, so we're just going to kind of go through it piece by piece. I've seen a couple other creators do this already, as have probably some of you. But I mean, I'm sure we have our own unique takes on it. And if you haven't seen it, this is a great introduction of what to expect November 12th. So, all this is the news, so we're going to get right into it. So the letter from the producer live, part 83, was Saturday night. So this information has been out for 30-something hours at this point. We've got some art of the expansion.
It's actually really pretty art.
It is. They're all really pretty arts. Okay, and it does say releasing mid-November 2024, but Yoshi P heavily implied that it would follow the same release schedule, which means that this will be out November 12th. According to all people who keep track of that sort of thing, I never have. I mean, are you one of those persons that know the release dates of the schedule and everything when it...
I am usually the one to just like check out a Mr. Happy video because most of his predictions are correct. So I just kind of be like, what do you think?
There you go. See, I've been a player of the game for 10 years. He's been a content creator of the game for 10 years. So he's got it all locked in there. Yeah. They gave us a few screenshots of the MSQ. Dawn servants, Agraha. We didn't really see him much in the actual base story, did we?
Not really. And I'm wondering now that base story for Dawn Trail is done, if we're going to start seeing some of these scions kind of, now that they took a backseat, I wonder if they're going to kind of start reappearing a little bit more prevalent, especially with these screenshots that we have.
I mean, he is one of Kryle's students of Baldessian, so he has a pretty big part to play. This is something I anticipated seeing, and I'm happy to see. So this is obviously the mystery child. This is the baby we don't know where it came from. So maybe this is some sort of indication that they're going to go back and answer some of those questions for us, which is huge. And then
tell me where the baby comes from.
Tell me where the baby came from. Yeah. Zeralja here. Maybe a little bit of like side story as to what the heck happened with this guy.
Yeah, like, the filter's already given like the Echo flashback vibes. So
yeah,
that's kind of where I'm getting. I'm like, okay, we see the baby, we see Zeralja flashbacks. Like, are we getting origin story?
I hope so. And honestly, I think a lot of us in the main story felt a little bit cheated by the whole like 30 years later and then everything is completely, no. So some information into what happened during those 30 years would be much appreciated. Also, the Pelu as a new Allied Society quest And we have been told this is a battle society quest. Battle. Yes. Thoughts, Pyra?
I don't know why it's not crafting. I'm excited to see more of the Pelu because I feel like they were really cute to see in the Dawntrail story. I'm usually not a big allied tribe quest watcher. I'm kind of been guilty for being a quest skipper for some of the allied society quests. However, this one I'm excited for just because I feel like I really loved walking through the area in Dawntrail, so I think I'll actually be paying attention to this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did a good job in the story of introducing us to what this society is. And definitely gives great Al Bhed vibes from Final Fantasy X. Really interested to see what their story is, but curious as to, like you, why it's a battle one. Feels kind of out of place, but I guess these little guys just really need someone to kill things for them, which we do, right?
Yeah. And then both screenshots show the Hanu too, so I'm wondering if they're going to be present throughout the whole kind of allied quests, or is it just kind of this kickoff quest? Because if they are through the whole thing, if it's kind of a almost dual society quest, then I could see it forming into something more battle related, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I mean, we wouldn't expect to see the Hanu be their own tribe when we've already had the Vanu quests in Heavensward. So, I mean, it would be just too eerily similar. A whole lot of Uncanny Valley, I
just
think.
The glasses and fake nose mustache combo.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, what it does mean is another really awesome way to get tons of experience for leveling up all those alt jobs people haven't yet leveled up. I don't know, maybe it's just my circle. It seems to me like a lot of people have finished leveling up most of their subclasses if they're, active in the game and had done it at least once before.
This is good for me as someone who hates melee. But once I'm a completionist, so I like getting everything max level. So you'll see me here for all of my melee classes.
There you go, at least once a day. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, a new custom deliveries. I don't know how to say her name. She's the wife that was dead in Shadowbringers. That's all I know. like these guys, we saw their Shadowbringers selves, and we know that he was a drunk because his spoilers, I guess, for Shadowbringers. But they come back. We get to see our Shards version of them, and now it's going to be custom deliveries, so we've been promised more of their story. So
now, are you one who partakes in custom deliveries?
Yes, asterisks. Yes, I do, but not as often as I would like to. I'm not an every single week for sure person. I'm a whenever I remember to person. How about you?
That's fair. I think I last did custom deliveries in Shadowbringers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't... I'm an old lady, and this is a rant for a different day. I don't like crafting now. I almost miss the crafting of old, so I just don't craft anymore. Rarely. That'll be another Tribal Alliance quest level up.
That's fair. No, I mean, custom deliveries are fantastic. They give tons of experience. You basically get reputation or esteem with each one of these people that allows you to unlock different items for purchase and allows you to potentially reclothe them, which is a really weird choice that they made a couple of expansions ago, but you can put them in different clothes.
Leave the twins' mom alone.
Right. I've seen some scary things. I mean, I've got all of the ones we've already had maxed, so it doesn't take too long. But of course, anytime you get a new custom deliveries, they're going to use those people who do it religiously every single week to be like the first people to get it to that place. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Additional role quests. So these are the ending role quests. So once you've done all of the individual role quests for each role, you can do then these role quests. Have you gotten to this point? Have you completed all the role quests for the last couple expansions?
I need to hide behind something.
Oh no.
I don't know what to hide behind. I'll just see.
Oh no.
I haven't done any of them.
Oh no.
I keep meaning to, and I keep forgetting. So I will get to it eventually. How about you?
I have for all the previous expansions. I have not finished any role quests for Dawn Trail yet. Like I haven't even finished my Viper class quests for Dawn Trail yet.
I've been slacking with that too. I've done like the past ones, but like that's literally the only thing holding me back from getting my mentor crown back, and I'm like, I'll get it eventually.
Yeah, so I mean it's an investment. It's a time investment. Because now of course I think there's 5 different roles. Because it divides it up by tank, healer, melee DPS, range DPS, magic DPS, and like physical range. No. Does it divide?
Yeah,
No, I think it's just
magic, phys range, melee, healer, tank.
Yes. So yeah. It takes a bit of time because you have to have, of course, one of each of those at 100. And then you have to do like 5 or 6 quests per role.
No matter if you want to pay attention to the story. So, like, if you're someone who wants to pay attention, that's kind of like where I've been at, where I'm like, I do want to pay attention to it. I don't just want to be a filthy cutscene skipper, in my own words, for these ones. And I'm like, I will get to it eventually.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a time investment. I think the best thing you can do is just not forget that they exist. Mm-hmm. Just kind of keep it as like a little worm at the back of your mind. And remember that it's there, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I've got a bunch of classes at 100 now. Let's see about doing some of these role quests. I don't know that they offer any rewards in particular, or I don't remember. I think a title. But they are very in-depth stories, I remember, from Endwalker.
Yeah. I think Shadowbringers too kind of started going really in-depth with them as well.
Okay. Additional Wachumeki quests. You know, for all those people who have done all of them already. Come on, Pyra. Have you done these?
Nope. What is a Wachumeki again?
Okay, like the crafting and gathering quests inside Tuliolo.
I haven't touched crafters in at least about 6 months.
Okay.
Sorry.
You know, I did some of these. These are like the facets of crafting and gathering in like the Crystarium and that sort of thing. They give you tons of experience. I did maybe half of them. But then like all my crafters just naturally leveled up to 100, and then I'm like, okay, well, I don't really need to do these anymore. But if you do, there's apparently additional quests for them as well.
And this, from what I'm reading too, it should be like the capstone for the storyline as well. So kind of tying off any loose ends with those quests.
I mean, this quest is sort of a finale for the business district. The quests that I did were really cool. Like, they were very intriguing quests. But I mean, you do them for the experience. I don't know. I do them for... I've just been really bad at wrapping up Dawn Trail quests, I think. I'm making excuses, but...
I'm in a similar boat as you. I've been enjoying like Dawn Trail fully, but I've definitely slacked on a couple housekeeping things for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, we have a couple of years to get all this done. I know I'm kind of just still making excuses, but I mean, I would obviously get it done before the next expansion, but it's like, come on. I mean, this stuff, you've got a couple of years to get done, so no hurry.
Yeah, no rush.
We all know what this means.
Oh, wait.
Absolutely. Inconceivably further Hildebrand adventures. So we're gonna see some more of this quest line. Hildebrand is very polarizing. So are you a fan or a hater?
I love Hildy quests myself. It's always, if you look at it as like, this is a continuation on the normal stories in Final Fantasy, like, you're not. It is not for you. It is very much its own. Literally, it has its own rules. It has its own physics sometimes, like in-game physics. But it's always a fun time. I always love how goofy Hildebrand quests are.
Yeah, I fell in love with them in A Realm Reborn. It's very fourth wall breaking. Like, yeah, like you said, it's not related to Eorzea or the Final Fantasy adventure you're playing. It intentionally breaks the rules. I don't know exactly what it's trying to mimic, whether it's like a particular show style in Japan. But it kind of is like what we would call slapstick comedy here in North America, like very Three Stooges almost. So,
yeah, I'm very excited too. It, from the way that they made it sound as well, was that this is, and it kind of says it right there, it's a Dawn Trail version of Hildy. So it looks like it's going to be kind of its own, like a new side storyline. So people can kind of pick it up from 7.1 onward, and it doesn't feel like it'll be a continuation of the past Hildebrand quest, which I think is really cool because we want to, still have more Hildy, but like having a whole kind of next chapter feels right with everything else that's happened with Dawn Trail.
Absolutely. And I remember the Hildebrand quests of Endwalker, and they started to become a lot more centered around the Warrior of Light. The Warrior of Light got involved in more of the physical comedy of them, which is definitely a different direction that I would assume we would see more of. So I think they're going to involve the Warrior of Light in more of these quests in more of a physical way.
Yeah.
which is really interesting. Like seeing your character do animations and movements that we haven't seen them do before. So
Yeah, it'll be very fun. I'm honestly really excited for Hildebrand, inconceivably further Hildebrand quests or adventures.
yeah, we have no idea how he gets to these places, but he does.
He's an enigma.
Okay. Something that I mean is one of those well, of course things is adding in the New Game Plus support for 7.0. For all those people, I guess, who want to go back and turn the lights back on.
I think this will be really good for I mean, I'm kind of surprised that they don't just let it release with the release of Dawn Trail, but I think it's really good. Especially trying to get back through some of the story and not necessarily want to just go to the Never-Ending Journey. I think the kind of like in-house book, or if you want to kind of play through it again, you don't want to do an alt. Like, I think it's just always a good time having New Game Plus available. So definitely excited for that. I don't know if I'll get to it right away, but excited that they're bringing it.
Exactly. Even Yoshi apparently says here you can go and re-enjoy the design of the last area, since it does change a lot. So he knows what he did.
Yeah,
he knows what he did. So yeah, New Game Plus main scenario quests, job quests, and role quests. So you can play through those again. New Game Plus versus just watching the cutscenes in the book, the benefit of New Game Plus is it does change your whole world state. So it essentially puts your MSQ back to the state it was when you were in those quests. So it changes the way the world look, it changes the way the zones look. It for all intents and purposes puts you back into those quests. So
yeah, one of the best things I've seen with New Game Plus too is people who want to just take screenshots. They might not necessarily want to go watch through playthrough, but they may want, say if we're talking, and we'll try to keep it spoiler free, one of the last zones where certain things are a certain way, you can go back and actually take a screenshot in those areas, in those zones, without having to just watch somebody else play through the story or something like that.
Yeah. Duty support for non-main scenario quest dungeons to be implemented moving forward. Support for Halatali will be added in 7.1, but they give absolutely zero time frame for the rest of it. I think Yoshi jokes that it could take 10 years. Like, they're going to take their time. They're not committing to any sort of release schedule for non-MSQ content, but they are going to make sure it gets into duty support. Which I think you and I talked about when we were talking about like Final Fantasy 11 and the changes 14 will have to make for longevity. This is going to be one of those things.
Absolutely. I think too, like, the more I think about the whole trust system and duty support, like, a lot of people use it for that kind of heightened immersion, no matter social anxiety and things of that nature. So it is kind of really cool to see that they are starting to put these resources in. And it might be cool to see what kind of NPCs, or not NPCs, but like what kind of support we're going to get in these dungeons. It's going to be some side characters that we have seen before. Maybe we kind of get to learn a little bit more about them.
Absolutely. So yeah, he promises one day. We might take 10 years though, or in Vale, maybe. And then they go in talking about something that we haven't talked a lot about, which is the Hall of the Novice, and kind of pushing that a little bit further so that Sprouts learn different mechanics and stuff, as well as the basic understandings of how roles work. And so they have added training for specific battle mechanics to the Hall of Novice. So, maybe a Sprout. Now, keep in mind, Hall of the Novice is completely, like, voluntary. You don't have to do it, but an enterprising new player would learn things like stack markers and AoEs and tank busters and towers before encountering them in the wild. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm only slightly disappointed. I'm very happy that these are getting added. I wish that there was something, if they're not going to make it a requirement, which I'm okay with them not making it a requirement, but I kind of wish that they would like have some sort of like reward or something that people would get more enticed to use it, because I think it's a good tool, but without kind of support for this type of update, like, or this kind of like process in the game, I don't know how often, like, I'd like to take a survey of like how many sprouts actually utilize it, because it's really great to add all these things, but if no one really knows it exists or they have no incentive to try it, like, is it really that good of a system?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Now, when I created my first alt 3 years ago, the Hall of Novice existed, and I played through it on my alt, and I really liked that they do give you like a full armor set for your role, but they need to, like you said, do a bit more to entice more players in. Like, especially now that MSQ kind of gives you that and then some. Or if you like level skip or story skip, they give you 1,000,000 gil and a full suit of armor. Like, it's not something anyone really needs, but
right. Yeah, even if it was something cosmetic, like, sometimes you need to have some shiny rewards at the end of the tunnel, so hopefully they kind of rethink that at some point.
Yoshi says that in the end there will be a graduation exam. Yeah, so I don't know what he's envisioning this will entail. Like, do you get like a joke title or something if you fail? Like, that would be hilarious.
Instead of like a sprout icon or mentor crown, you just get like a
the
like
ninja
next to your name, thumbs tap,
or the ninja bunny ears or
yeah.
something. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll have to see what that is all about, but hopefully it better prepares people going into things like World of Darkness for the first time. Because those alliance raids can still be incredibly messy.
Absolutely. It is messy all the way from level 1 to 100.
Yeah. PvP updates. Updates to PvP action execution and hit detection. Essentially every class but the 2 new ones are going to get balanced. I don't. We made changes to hit detection. A good example are the machine limit break and primal rend on warrior. A lot of times the animation hasn't even gone off fully yet, but the effect like stuns registered you. On you. This is changing now, and you can react with shields once you see the animation start. So instances of "but I shielded" or "healed" should be reduced by a lot. I do say that often in PvP, honestly.
Yeah, same. In Frontline, I'm hoping this cures some of that, like those frustrations, because I do this, like, I get the same way where I feel like sometimes it just feels unfair. Like, some of the things I'm like, well, this didn't make any sense, but sure.
Yeah. I mean, I am always a paladin in Frontlines. I always have been. So, like, when I die with hallowed ground up, I start to question things. So
yeah.
that I think answers some of my questions. Yeah, so extensive update to PvP action execution, hit detection, PvP job action additions and adjustments. For every job, we're adding new PvP actions, except for Viper and Pictomancer, since they're new. My beloved Black Mage is changing a lot, so the play feel for some jobs might be very different.
I'm curious to see how that is, because I'm not, funny enough, I'm a PvE Black Mage main. I am not a PvP, like, I do not play Black Mage in PvP. So I'm wondering if this will make me want to play it more or not.
Right, you'll have to take a look at how it plays. Now, I did kind of an experiment once upon a time, and I played Frontlines as every class to kind of rank them. And Black Mage, out of all the Frontlines classes, has the least survivability. Like, if you go into Frontlines as a Black Mage, you're either staying with the group or you're dead. There is no in between. You need to be completely surrounded on all sides by a meat shield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels very Black Mage, though, to be fair.
Yeah, so, I mean, honestly, what do you think they're trying to put a band-aid on something that is just terminally broken?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. I kind of am feeling that, but I feel bad for feeling that, you know?
I also feel bad for feeling that, because I love this game so much, and I have a lot of frustration with PvP. However, even outside of 14, I love PvP. Like, I've always loved PvP games. I think there are a lot of problems. Like, even the one I can think of is just like, how can I be back-to-back stunned so many times that, like, nothing matters? Which is always a frustration, and I think it's from what they're saying, or what they said in the live letter, was that this is kind of like a little appetizer to like an overhaul of Frontlines. I want to know what that is, though, because like I'm almost scared that it's like a little band-aid and then a big band-aid put on Frontlines, instead of like kind of doing a critical deep dive to retweaking the entire system.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So they translate Yoshi here as saying, there will be big updates for Frontline in 7.2, and this is just kind of the lead up for it. More details about PvP ranked in part 2 of the 7.1 PLLs, so that's going to be sometime in October. So they're kind of just showing us the tip of the iceberg at this point. So it's kind of hard to get really excited, because we ultimately don't know what Frontlines is going to look like when they're done with it.
For sure.
But we have a new dungeon. Again, it's one that I can't pronounce.
Uewada.
You're like, of course, it's this.
Like, let me try. And I'm probably butchering it.
But it looks like another twinning style dungeon / Aether chemical research facility.
This is probably too spoiler territory, because it gets into theories based on non-trail story. I have my theories, and I just would like to say, I don't think it is a coincidence that we see our little baby boy Galul at the beginning, and then we see this laboratory hospital thing of sorts. Just saying.
Oh my god, is he a sheep? Yeah. Yoshi.
It's creepy too. Like, it's creepy. I'm excited for it.
Yoshi says there is glass there. If we have a wall made of glass in Final Fantasy XIV, usually it breaks.
Yep. Usually a big monster pops out and smashes right through.
Absolutely. They call out the dungeon bosses in John's Trail as being a little spicy. And Yoshi says that trend's going to continue. The third boss is very engaging in this dungeon.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, the mechanics of boss fights have changed. And I think that's a good thing because it's been 10 years of dungeoning with pretty much the same mechanics, so they had to do something different. But I think the difficulty is a little bit higher because we're all just getting used to it. We don't have all that practice underneath our belts for this type of fight.
I don't know if it's just me too. Like, I know I'm definitely jaded from doing harder level content in this game, but I feel like the one thing about dungeons pre-Dawn Trail and like the dungeons in Dawn Trail, I feel like went from you go through it the first time and you know what you're doing for the entire fight to like you might have to clear this dungeon a few times to really understand what the mechanics are, but once you've cleared it like 2 to 3 times, like you pretty much have it all down. Like I know for me it took me a while to figure out the whole swole tender mechanics in Tender Valley where I was like, wait, where do I stand without dying? But then once I did, I was like, okay, I'm good. So like it took me a few wipes, but I'm excited for that. Like I'm glad that I don't need to learn everything on the first go ahead with no like effort.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I can only assume that what we're learning in this expansion is just going to be expounded on over the next several expansions, and it's going to be like a new wave of PvE combat in 14. So, the Alliance raid.
Speaking of new PvE content.
Our first look, of course, at the Echoes of Vana'diel, the first raid of which should be released in 7.1. Yoshi P asking the audience who has played 11. And there's, quite a few hands up considering. I mean, we can see like 12 people here, but... yeah. He's done the first playtest with 24 people, and they're about to start the internal test runs where they have like, okay, this is so cool. They try not to have the same staff repeatedly always asking, have you play tested yet? No, you are coming. Like, you could just be like working at your desk, doing whatever, and Yoshi's like, hey, I need you to come play the game with us.
I love it.
Okay.
Sign me up.
Right? Yeah. So, we got our first images, of course, of Juno. For
Is
those
this reminiscent for you?
Oh yeah. I can tell you pretty much exactly where in Juno this is. Like it is very, very well done, straight out of the game. It looks like that's the door to the Gobby Bag shop. So it's really well done. A great representation of Juno. Don't know what exactly is happening to that sky up there. That doesn't look normal. The first raid is, of course, called Juno, the First Walk.
Very Golbez vibes.
Yes.
With this one. Yeah. I don't know anything about 11, but I looked at the screenshot. I was like, are we going back to Golbez?
Absolutely. So that is kind of a hint at a kind of end level 11 boss. So, chat was asking if we're already going for the final boss. Yeah. So who knows? It does have really dark vibes. Like you said Golbez, but I would have also like I thought you to say like Diablos or something, like very Dune Skaith almost too.
Yeah. Very creepy.
Very creepy.
Mm.
New trial, the Minstrel's Ballad Spheme's Burden.
Sweet. That's all I can think of every time we pick this trial. Sweet.
Okay, so we got another X. For people who have already gotten their wings somehow. That gives off diamond weapon vibes.
This frightens me, the screenshot.
Yeah.
Because, split platforms are already hard for a lot of groups in normal and extremes. And there is a little bridge right there in between the platforms.
Yeah, right there, yeah.
And there are two glowy hands. I'm scared. This is going to be chaotic. And I'm looking forward to it, but also I'm frightened.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I've relatively recently been in some diamond weapon extreme parties, and they are still chaos. So, wow.
Yeah.
Might be what? Will be interesting to see what happens with that in extreme. Might be friendlier than normal mode.
Oh. As if,
yeah. Yeah, she's clearly shooting lasers from her arms. Okay, so there will be pretty rewards at least, right? And Yoshi says, most definitely, I hope I can show it in the next live letter. So we might get a sneak peek on those wings.
Wings. And weapons? Maybe?
And weapons?
Weapons?
Ah.
Come on. Come on, Speed!
I hope they use some textures like her dress, right?
That's where I'm like, I'm gonna really, I shouldn't hype myself up too much because we haven't even seen anything yet, but they have a lot of really good stuff to work with. So,
yeah. This character in particular, there is a lot of really pretty things they can do with it. So he says pretty, so we're looking forward to pretty. The new Unreal has been named Byakko, the Jade Stoa. Falling with style.
I love that mechanic personally.
Do you?
I do. I want a gold saucer version, and I've been asking for like 7 years. Give me a gold saucer version where we have to like collect coins as we're falling. It makes sense more in my head, believe me. But I could see that as like a mini game or like a gold saucer game. Just a bunch of people floating, kind of like the Chocobo races, but falling.
Kind of like, yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're gonna get your chance to do more falling in this Unreal. I've got a static who's interested in doing the Unreal, so we're gonna be giving it a try.
Nice.
I don't really know what to expect. So now, have you done Unreals up until this point?
Funny enough, I really haven't. I've wanted to. It's just finding the interest. I kind of ran into some like issues with PvP groups I was in, or not PvP, PF groups I was in. So, yeah, I just haven't touched them in a while, but I've really been wanting to because I did all these fights on Extreme when they were launched. So going back through them in kind of like a tough difficulty, like, is exciting.
Absolutely. I was just wondering if like the mechanics stay the same in Unreal or if they completely like make up new mechanics.
From what I remember, and totally if somebody knows and corrects me, I'm fine with that. They are. So it's just
Okay.
it feels like, okay, you have your max level gear, you have your max level abilities. However, you have to kind of go at this at a harder pace, so it kind of like matches your energy kind of thing. But I could be wrong. I think I'm
Okay.
right now.
Well, the first Unreal we had Titan or Ifrit?
I think it was Garuda, actually.
Garuda. Because
was
wasn't
one
it
of the
originally
three.
advertised as like a similar feel to taking on these trials at minimum eye level when they were released?
Yes, that was the
Okay.
intention with the Unreals.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, it's in all estimations going to be very similar, just harder.
Yeah.
A new type of battle content. This hasn't happened for a while. This is called the Chaotic Alliance Raid.
Chaos.
Chaos is probably the only apt word in this case. So they talk about this Chaotic Alliance Raid, but they describe it as being 24 people. So it's an alliance raid, but it's only one boss and no lead up, so it's like a trial. But it is absolutely chaotic. They were tempting to make it like extreme difficulty, but it turned out to be oopsie savage. Yeah. Prince, I don't even know what to make of this one. It's the Cloud of Darkness. And this was the image we were talking about before stream here.
I'm so excited.
No. They are going to show the new wings, hopefully in the next live letter, Yoshi said. So in October. Oh my god, are those ads? I just saw those for the first time.
So those are from Eden. If you remember the Eden's raid that had the Cloud of Darkness, that's the character model that was in there. And then we have some Atomos on the sides, connected to the lasers.
I was just saying, they've got the Atmos, they've got like some towers, they've got some meteors, they've got...
If you notice the floor too, as well, the floor also mimics the disappearing floor in the Eden's version of Cloud of Darkness. So towers, plus, I bet you can't stand on a platform for too long before you fall to the ground.
Oh,
it's chaos!
Oh, man.
I'm so excited for this level of pain.
Okay. You're getting anxiety. Yeah, I mean, the problem with getting 24 people in a raid together is it's like herding a herd of cats, right? You need to find a way. Yeah, you need to find a way to get 24 people organized enough to get through this. Wow. And then there's like an outer arena.
Mm-hmm. And a death wall.
And a death wall. I
think there's the towers too. So like one of the ones in the very bottom of the photo, there's like 3 circles. I think there's enough towers that one person, like I think it's 24 from what I was hearing other people cover. So that would mean that every tower, like every person will have to have a specific spot that they're on.
Yeah.
That is chaos. Like for 24 people to be that orchestrated. Ooh.
I feel that kind of overwhelming curiosity as well. I'm like, this looks horrid. I can't wait to try it. They are apparently having their own, obviously, unique reward system. This is a new type of content, so they have to come up with new rewards. So they're going to try to come up with a reward system that gives incentive to repeatedly clear and help out, so that it's not just like you have to have a 24-person static now instead of just an 8-person static. Oh my god.
Looking forward.
It doesn't give any indication, however, as to what this currency or reward structure would be. What do you hope it is? Like, as someone who does raids, do you hope it's like a tombstone or a unique drop, or?
I definitely think a unique drop would be good. However, with 24 people, it might have to be more of like a tombstone or something else. The one thing that I'm curious about too is like they've already thought through how do they entice people to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what kind of thing it's gonna be, but like I think it has to be something that like kind of like how extremes work now, where like you have a random chance, you have a chance to get something really shiny and big and nice, but at the same time you get like a little token or something that you can, if you don't win that big shiny prize, you can kind of like keep farming for more. Because if not, if it's like an ultimate where you clear it, you get your everybody gets something nice, there's going to be less incentive to go back. So,
you know what you were describing? You were describing totems for wings.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have more than just 99 at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but it
hopefully
works.
something where you don't have to wait other patches to turn them in would be nice.
A new ultimate raid. Would you call it Fru?
I call it Fru. I've heard it Fru. There is another name, and even here it says Fru, so they're right.
Future's rewritten ultimate.
Gotcha! I'm ready. I'm not ready. I need so much more practice, but I'm ready in theory.
I can't even make a judgment on this thing. So what are your thoughts other than trauma when you see these images?
My thoughts is that I should probably talk to my therapist about why I like being in pain. No, I'm kidding. Complete joke. I'm excited. I really love the Eden's series. Like, I think the Eden's raids are my favorite raid series in the entire game. So seeing that this is the ultimate, and we get to see more with Gaia and Reen, and we get to see more with Thancred, Ranjit. I'm very excited to see more, but it's like I'm seeing these images, I'm like, that's not enough. Give me more. I want to know more. So I'm very excited. My static is in a place where we're going to attempt to do this when it comes out. Whether we're able to or not is a different story. But we're gonna give it a shot when it's fresh. Not world first race by any means. We're not nearly that good, but we're gonna at least go into it fresh. Which for me, this would be my first fresh ultimate.
Wow.
My first current one, because I never thought I could clear ultimates until a year ago when we were like, hey, we have nothing to do. Let's try. And I got through 2 now, and so I'm very excited for this.
Awesome. I'm excited to watch other people try.
That's fair. That's honestly more than fair.
Yeah. Not sure whether this one or 2 weeks after the 7.1 release, but it won't be on the same day as 7.1. That's not unusual, is it? Like, they usually release ultimates just after the patch comes live.
I honestly prefer that too. Same with Savages, same with Ultimates. It kind of gives you a moment to enjoy the majority of the patch, and then for especially the people that are world firsting this, that are really going at it, it gives them a little bit of time to enjoy the patch for everything else, and then get right into the ultimate, because if not, then you have people that are just like beelining straight to the ultimate. So I like that they give you like a couple weeks to prep and kind of get in the zone before heading off.
Awesome. Yeah. And I mean, it allows you to get through the story and that sort of thing too. So yeah.
Absolutely.
I know we've been I wonder if this is a surprise to anyone. I know we've been really, really excited for some Gold Saucer updates, and we have one. Finally, they're going to update something in the Gold Saucer. They are updating Mahjong. I know, right? Adding voiced reactions and commentary from the Scions. So while you're playing your Dome and Mahjong games, you get to hear their reactions and commentary on your play. I have no words.
Apparently it is popular. Like, there is a niche audience that, like, literally, where did I hear this? There's a group of people that only play Final Fantasy to play Mahjong or something like that. I think it's a cultural thing where, like, there are some people that, like, just play Mahjong. Could go them, because I can't figure out how to play.
Right? Listen, I know how to play Mahjong, or I thought I did, but my knowledge IRL equates to nothing in the Gold Saucer, because everything I thought I knew about the game, turns out I don't. So
It's something fierce. Like, I could do Savage and Ultimate, so you put me in front of Mahjong and I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, that's a part of my brain that does not work.
We even tried, like, hosting classes in our free company, like getting together in like Discord parties and talking through it, and like, you know, and even still, like, people who thought they knew the game were like asking questions, and they're like, I don't know. So, you're buying these voice lines and Scions with MGP in the Gold Saucer. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you've maxed out your MGP and don't know what to spend it on, there's some ideas.
Yeah. Get some Scions to cheer you on.
Some of our voice actors are Mahjong experts. Some have no idea what they were recording, so that was pretty fun.
That's actually really funny.
I'm most scared of you, Stola. Okay, so yeah, even the voice actors, some of them were like, I don't know, but I get paid by the hours, so...
That's honestly fair.
Oh, man. Okay. Last section, housing updates. Housing updates.
Let's go.
The exterior of the house will still be limited to the housing district regions, but changing the interior is a direction they're thinking of going in. So, they are allowing you to change the interior of your house to different residential areas regardless of the location of your plot, and have created new interior designs. So, they have here kind of an example of, well, that's Oasis. Yeah, that's Oasis.
I believe that's a large goblet house.
Yeah.
Goblet.
And they have a new one here without any pillars.
Oh, gorgeous.
I know. I can finally decorate. Yeah.
Look how much bigger that looks too.
Right?
Like a side by side. It looks way bigger than the current columned version. Not that I hate this version. I don't hate it. But open floor plan. Come on. How can you hate this?
Right? So yeah, it looks like we're going to have some changes. Now, they take it a couple of steps further in this too. So talking about because the interior of a house is its own separate zone, why can't it look like anything? In fact, why can't it change size? So they are thinking about hashtag bolded, not for 7.1, but in the future, you can select the internal size of your house. You can change it as often as you want, but it will, of course, cost gil. So if all you can get is a small house, you can purchase a large interior for it. This is sounding really like magical, I guess. Okay.
Long stress relieving sigh, because this is something that I feel like is such a small change. Like, if you think of the whole changes in the game, it's small, but how many people have a house of a different, smaller than they'd like? And they could do something like this to make it feel more exactly what they need and not have to worry about trying to get another house.
Yep.
I'd be so excited.
And I can't remember if I've said it on this podcast or streaming or when I've said it. I know I've said it like at least half a dozen times that with this zoned housing, why can't they offer upgrades? Why can't they turn it into a large or turn it into a mansion or turn it into a colony? Like, it is literally a zone. So why can't it be anything?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy to hear Yoshi say that. I'm not happy for how much gil it's probably going to cost.
Still probably less painful than the lottery system, honestly. Like, if you have a small house and you're like, well,
Yeah.
I want a large interior, probably still less, I would think less money and less painful than the lottery system.
No, absolutely. And Dynamis, I can speak for Hallie specifically. Halicarnassus still has probably north of 150 small houses still available.
Cool.
So if you are really looking for a house, now apparently with this information that you can potentially in the future turn it into a large house, there's still some available. So you don't need to panic on that. Still free to transfer to Dynamis. Hashtag move to Dynamis. Yeah.
Debbie's weekly ad for
Yeah, right. This podcast brought to you by Dynamis Tourism. Yeah.
Please.
It's they are going to be very reluctant about adding new houses into the game, but if we can better utilize the spaces we already have. Now, another instanced space, of course, is the apartments. The apartments. Your FC apartment, your FC private chambers, your Grand Company apartments. Why can't they be anything? So.
What's that to think about, Yoshi?
Yeah. That is all of the live letters save the things they want to sell you portion. That happens every time. Oh yeah, apartments are not utilized nearly enough. So this is the Dawn Trail soundtrack. They have talked about quite a bit. Includes a bonus item. Oh yeah, that's the Zero Minion.
Zero Minion, yeah.
Aww. The Primals concert, which you've talked about. The archived footage is now available.
Still paid, but if you wanted to go back and watch it,
Yeah.
still there.
It would be unfair to players who fought hard to get a large plot, so upgrading the inside will be costly. Now, keep in mind that they haven't said anything externally. So the benefit to having a large house will at minimum be you still have access to those 3 garden plots, whereas nothing else does. So. Keychains? Oh, right. This is the official merchandise that is on sale right now on the e-store.
And I think, so those keychains, at least the job stones are new for the Viper Pictomancer, and that's an Emmet Silk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's in the shape kind of as the Asm crystal, but
yeah, it's
different
Emmet's
color.
crystal.
Yeah.
Which I'm trying to hold my wallet tight, but it might slip.
I looked at these. Okay, so I did look this up on stream. To any Canadians who might be curious, I'm sorry. The keychains themselves, correct me if I'm wrong, were like $14.95 US, I think.
Yeah, about that.
I put one in a cart to see how much shipping would be to ship it to Canada, and it was $40 to ship. So
for a single keychain?
For a single keychain.
Oh.
So I apparently don't have access to any of these, but if you live in the US, $14.95 isn't a bad price. I would have considered it if I wasn't paying $40 in shipping. So
do I need to start smuggling stuff into Canada? Like, what is going on? Oh my gosh.
I mean, literally in some instances, we are like a border away from a US address, so I don't understand how the $40 shipping is justified, but like, especially I live like, I don't know, less than 2 hours from the border, but...
Isn't it something too, or couldn't you get charged as well for customs on top of?
Yeah, so that's what happened with my Hori tactical commander, Final Fantasy XIV edition. Because now this is a little bit of a tangent, but I had it shipped to me because I really wanted it, and I got it, but I had to pay customs on top of it because instead of saying like computer device or controller device or anything in the description, they used the words tactical commander in the description. So of course, customs had to open it up to make sure it wasn't any sort of weapon, and then charge me for doing so.
I feel like that's negligent. That's a tangent. That is just negligence. Business sense. Yeah.
So that's how happy I was about that. But that aside, we're getting a little bit on a tangent. Keychains, mouse pads, and other new merchandise is available for those with privilege on the Square Enix store. But then, Yoshi P's showing off a shirt that he won't tell us where he got it.
Give me!
A Final Fantasy XIV kind of Kryl Pictomancer shirt that everyone has been trying to figure out where it comes from. A Scion fan. And mentioning again the tabletop RPG, I have played this. And I have a video coming out hopefully soon, asterisk, with my thoughts on it. So if anyone is interested in trying the Final Fantasy XIV tabletop RPG, I will give those watching this podcast a little bit of a spoiler. And that is, it is a tabletop RPG for people who are fans of Final Fantasy XIV and not a Final Fantasy tabletop RPG for people who are fans of tabletop RPGs. So, if that sounds confusing, all you need to know is if you play Dungeons and Dragons, you're not going to find this exciting or enjoyable. So, but if you're a Final Fantasy XIV player who wants to get into that sort of game, this might be the gateway for you. So,
good to know.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is the end of the live letter as we have seen it. This was only part 1, with part 2 coming at a later date, they say here, probably sometime mid-October, mid to late October. Prince, that is going to be in the video I put out. So stay tuned for that. Pyra, what was your favorite part? What are you looking forward to most now that you've seen what's on the table?
I think for me is the end game stuff, chaotic raids and Fru. I'm very excited for both of those, especially after finishing Savage, and the next Savage tier isn't coming out till like next year. Like, give me something else to do. How about you?
You know what? I really want to try Unreal and Chaotic raids. But honestly, I'm probably going to be doing the tribal quests and trying to get through my role quests. And I say that because if we do get something Bozja-wise this expansion, I remember when Bozja came out and I dedicated a straight, 4 months to just doing Bozja when it came out. Like, every day playtime was just Bozja. And so if that happens this expansion, I don't want to be looking at it like, hey, but there's all of these things I said I was going to do eventually and kind of worry about getting it all done before the next expansion. So I should probably eat the frog and do those quests. I know, it's not my favorite type of content, but honestly, we've got a lot that he didn't mention. So that makes me think that my favorite patch is yet to come. So I want to get all of this under the table so that I can play that stuff when it's fresh.
Yeah. It's a good way to look at it, too. Kind of more housekeeping. And then set yourself up good for the next upcoming patches.
Granted, the Alliance raid, the Vana'diel raid. Day 1. That's where I'll be.
Cannot wait for chaos. Not even just chaos raids.
The chaos of the normal Alliance raids, yes! So, yeah. Let us know in chat, in Discord, or in the comments below what you are most looking forward to for this patch, which we have almost 100% surmised is going to be November 12th. This gives me approximately 12 days to finish Dragon Age Veilguard. So
yep.
this is what my schedule looks like. So before then, I'm going to keep chipping away at Origins Awakening, Dragon Age 2, and Inquisition. What are you going to be up to, Pyra?
This week I have a bit of raid, of course. So we will be going and doing our re-clears for Savage Wednesday, hopefully finishing Thursday, and then we started doing some UCOB. So Ultimate Coil of Bahamut, Ultimate, I think, or one of them. Either way, however it's pronounced. We started doing that, which we're hoping to clear before Fru comes out in November. So if you want to see some people falling flat on their face and making a lot of jokes in the meantime, come join me on stream.
Absolutely. I'll probably try to get a few raids in too. Because honestly, I mean, that's content that is kind of timeless. So
gotta have the memes. Always.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me again, Pyra. It is always a pleasure. I am so happy we got some news and can't wait to see what we can talk about next week.
Absolutely. We got news. We're out of the drought.
Yeah. So like I said, this is going to be the hype that is going to carry us through 7-1. So they have got to keep up the energy at this point. So they've released the live letter. Now they have to keep it going. So Okay. Thank you so much to everyone who's watched now and in the future. Thank you so much. The link to this translation will be in the description below. And we will be back next week, same time, same channel, for another episode of This Week in Eorzea.